The first 50 appointments get Botox for $10 per unit. Enhance your natural beauty. Call or visit MilaniMedSpa.com.
Good morning, America. This morning, surveying the damage. Donald Trump's first-hand look at the wildfires' devastation.
It's very sad to see it.
The death toll rising, the number missing nearly 1,300 as the 11th hour approaches for residents of a tent city told to pack up.
Recount chaos. The deadline just hours away for that high-stakes recount in Florida as officials reveal their hunt for missing ballots.
The ballots are in this building.
And a new concession brings a heated governor's race in the Sunshine State to an end.
The mystery on a cruise ship. Our first look inside the ship-turned-crime scene after a woman plunges to her death.
I would never expect that would happen on a cruise.
Passengers now speaking out as the FBI investigates this case as a possible murder.
Mid-air explosion. A hot air balloon packed with fireworks explodes over a crowd. The frightening scene, people on the ground running for cover.
And dropping the ball, a ball boys air stopping play as Roger Federer goes for a historic win. His opponent winding up the victor, then offering an apology.
I'm very sorry that this happened. I didn't mean to upset anybody.
How the greatest of all time is responding this morning.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, and let's get right to our top story. The deadliest American wildfire in a century has just claimed more lives. Overnight, officials saying 76 people are now confirmed dead from the Camp Fire. The number of missing skyrocketing again, now standing at nearly 1,300.
Incredible. President Trump traveling to California to take a first-hand look at the situation, remarking on the utter destruction and applauding the firefighters who he says are, quote, fighting like hell. However, while on the ground there, he also doubled down on his controversial claim that forest management is to blame for these historic and deadly wildfires.
Thousands of homes destroyed, leaving some to seek shelter in a tent city smothered in smoke. But they're now being told to leave by this afternoon. ABC's Marcus Moore is covering it all from Malibu for us. Marcus, good morning.
Whit, good morning. We're in one of the neighborhoods President Trump visited on his tour of the devastation, and you look around and you're reminded of just how relentless these flames were. They seemed to quickly burn just about anything in the path of those flames as they marched down hills and hopped over roadways and destroyed homes and property across the state. President Trump touring California's fire-ravaged disaster zone this weekend, seeing firsthand the devastation left behind. Overnight, the death toll of Northern California's Camp Fire rising to 76, the number of missing potentially as high as 1,200. The president arriving in Northern California first, smoke hanging in the air as he disembarked, flanked by California's governor-elect Gavin Newsom and Governor Jerry Brown. His motorcade passing supporters massing along the roadside to welcome him to paradise, the town of 28,000 wiped out by the Camp Fire.
It's very sad to see it.
The president standing by his controversial comments of the state's forest and fire management.
I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we're a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem.
At a command post in nearby Chico, the president taking in the gravity of the damage.
In California, we've never seen anything like this, Jerry. It's like total devastation.
Outside, Trump protesters and Trump supporters gathering.
God bless Trump! The whole town is trying to mobilize to help people who had to evacuate, and now all these resources are sent here to try to protect him.
The groups clashing.
And I will knock you out. Say something stupid.
Nearby, it is almost the 11th hour for a tent city outside a local Walmart, where residents who lost their homes are being told they can't stay and will have to leave by the afternoon. With thick smoke blanketing the region, air quality a major public health concern, and smoke masks in short supply.
It's serious. It's gone on for days, and I want to guard my family's health.
The president also traveled to Southern California, where the Woolsey fire leveled homes and buildings in the Malibu area. Trump telling reporters seeing the devastation in person is crucial.
You're watching from New York, or you're watching from Washington, D.C., and you don't really see the gravity of it until you come here.
And back here in Malibu, another look at the damage we see this morning. This truck burned out, and another astonishing thing is it looks like melted aluminum underneath the truck. Now, the fire that did this, crews have been able to make progress in getting that fire contained. It could be contained by Monday, but the campfire burning farther north this morning, guys, still only about 55% contained.
See a lot of those stranded vehicles as people were trying to get out. Marcus Moore, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Also, while traveling, President Trump also weighed in on another developing story, the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi.
There are reports the CIA now has high confidence the murder was ordered by the Saudi Crown Prince, a key ally of the White House. But the president calls those reports premature. ABC's Julia McFarlane is on the story from our London bureau. Julia, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. Yes, President Trump initially responded to reports on that CIA assessment by defending the U.S.-Saudi partnership, reiterating the importance of relations for jobs and the economy. The CIA itself has yet to comment on those reports of its assessment. This morning, President Trump pushing back on bombshell reports into the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi.
They haven't assessed anything yet. It's too early. That was a very premature report, but we're going to have a report on Tuesday, and it'll be very complete.
The Washington Post reporting a CIA assessment found the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered Khashoggi's killing. The journalist murdered last month after entering the Saudi consulate in Turkey, seeking papers to marry his Turkish fiancée. The State Department also pushing back, spokesperson Heather Nauert denying that the administration had made a final conclusion on who is responsible for Khashoggi's death, saying there are numerous unanswered questions still, adding the U.S. will maintain its important strategic relationship with the Saudis. The president briefed Saturday by CIA Director Gina Haspel and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo aboard Air Force One as he traveled to California. The CIA assessment is reported to have included intelligence involving communications from the royal family. The 33-year-old Crown Prince, a close ally of President Trump's and son-in-law Jared Kushner. Earlier Saturday, President Trump calling the Saudis an ally.
They have been a truly spectacular ally in terms of jobs and economic development.
Reports the CIA find him guilty are the most damaging blow yet to that key relationship. That CIA assessment, first reported in the Washington Post, is described as finding with high confidence the Saudi Crown Prince is culpable. Now, the Saudi response to the killing first began with denials, then conflicting stories. President Trump says he expects the U.S. government's full conclusion next week. Dan?
Julia, thank you. Let's bring in ABC's Martha Raddatz, who's in Washington, where she'll be co-hosting this week later this morning. Martha, good morning. Let's start with the Khashoggi murder. The president, yet again, seems to be reluctant to blame and directly punish the Saudi Crown Prince. What do you think is going on here?
Well, it truly was within hours after the Washington Post had that report that the CIA had concluded with high confidence that the prince was involved, that the State Department pushed back, as Julia said. I think what's going on is they want to do this very slowly. I don't think there is probably a smoking gun pointing to the Crown Prince. So President Trump, no matter how much intelligence he gets, can interpret it really any way he wants to do this. And he has made a point over and over and over that we have this strategic relationship with Saudi Arabia, that they're important to push back Iran, obviously important for oil as well. So Tuesday will be a big day, but I wouldn't expect necessarily for President Trump to say things point to the Crown Prince.
Let's move on to a domestic politics. On your show this morning, this morning, you're going to be interviewing a group of newly elected female Democratic House members. It's interesting. You're going to be speaking to these women at a time when celebrities from Barbra Streisand to Martina Navratilova are hitting social media to support Nancy Pelosi as the once and future House Speaker. What are these incoming members of Congress saying about Pelosi? Does it look like she'll get the Speaker's gavel yet again?
You know, Dan, I don't think we know. They had varying opinions of Nancy Pelosi. They all praised Nancy Pelosi as a great former speaker, but there were many who would not commit to her. There are many on Capitol Hill who will not commit to her at this point. So I think it's unclear. Although what I would say is just talking to these women, it's a fascinating conversation and a fun conversation, is that they haven't decided because they don't know who else might run for Speaker. So I think that's why some of them are holding off. But still, nothing positive yet, even though President Trump offered to help her out.
Yes, he tweeted in her support yesterday morning. Such an interesting and diverse group of incoming members of Congress. Martha, I look forward to seeing that conversation. Thank you. And a reminder, Martha has a big show this morning. She's going to have more on the investigation of Jamal Khashoggi's killing when she goes one-on-one with House and Senate Intelligence Committee members Congressman Adam Schiff and Senator Roy Blunt. Also, as we mentioned, she's going to sit down with those 5 new Democratic congresswomen heading to Capitol Hill. It's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC.
Now to those high-stake election battles in Florida and Georgia. The highly contested Georgia governor's race is now officially over, with Georgia certifying the election results, confirming Republican Brian Kemp as the victor. This comes a day after Democrat Stacey Abrams ended her campaign, saying she couldn't win. Now, Governor-elect Kemp responding by calling for unity. And in Florida, Democrat Andrew Gillum conceding for a second time in the heated governor's race, while state officials race to finish their manual recount in the Senate contest.
Yeah, the deadline now just hours away as one troubled county is admitting 2,000 ballots are missing. ABC White House correspondent Tara Palmieri is in our Washington bureau with the very latest. Tara, good morning.
Good morning. It's been 12 days since the midterm elections, and still some of Florida's races are still too close to call, including a key Senate race. And now at the 11th hour, a new setback. This morning, time running out in the hotly contested Florida Senate race as election officials reveal more than 2,000 ballots are missing. Broward County officials announcing Saturday they believe an employee may have misplaced them.
The ballots are in this building. There would be nowhere else for them to be, but they are misfiled in this building.
Some calling for the removal of the county's beleaguered election supervisor, Brenda Snipes. After the first round of recounts in the Senate race last week, Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson trails Republican Governor Rick Scott by just 12,603 votes. The deadline for manual recount, noon today. Meanwhile, a concession in the other hotly contested race in Florida. Democratic candidate for Governor Andrew Gillum stepping aside and congratulating opponent Republican Ron DeSantis.
RJ and I wanted to take a moment to congratulate Mr. DeSantis.
This is Gillum's second concession since he admitted defeat on election night.
We didn't win it tonight.
But when results narrowed to a difference of just a half a percentage point, an automatic recount was triggered.
I was never really in danger of losing because my margin was big enough. Now I can go forward without having to worry about this.
The Florida elections, like in years past, have been plagued by technical glitches, missed deadlines, and even power outages. Republicans invested heavily in the Florida Senate race, targeting a seat they could flip to expand their slim majority. Dan?
We keep talking about Florida. I suspect that will not change for many years to come. Tara, thank you. We do have new developments this morning in a story that played a truly outsized role in the most recent campaign, the so-called caravan. Some 3,000 migrants from Central America have now reached the Mexican side of the border with California, with many, many more expected to arrive. The migrants who are seeking asylum in the U.S. have been setting up camp at an outdoor sports facility in the city of Tijuana. Some say they've been viciously attacked by the locals there, and the situation could get more tense as the number of migrants taking refuge in that city could reach 10,000.
Goodness. Well, now to that mysterious death on a cruise ship, a woman falling off the upper deck.
As the Royal Princess returns from its voyage, we are now hearing from one of the passengers, and ABC's Ariel Reshef is right here in studio with much more. Ariel, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. For the first time, passengers are speaking out about how people on board learned of that tragedy. And this morning, new questions about what led up to that woman's death.
This morning, a first look inside the Princess cruise ship turned crime scene as the mystery deepens in the death of a woman on board. Room doors sealed and the lifeboat where witnesses say the victim was found. The ship finally back in Florida this weekend, where passengers are speaking out for the first time.
I would never expect that would happen on a cruise.
Logan Tignor recalling the early morning announcement that sounded over the PA system.
They did a PA announcement at 4:30 in the morning, security to lifeboat number 2.
Word of a tragedy soon spreading.
I was in the elevator and another passenger told me what happened and I was like, oh my gosh, holy cow. Personally, I was kind of terrified for my safety afterwards.
According to reports in the Aruban press, the 52-year-old woman plummeted from an upper deck of the 3,600 passenger vessel. landing on a lifeboat after allegedly struggling with a man.
So they finally told us that some 52-year-old woman was being choked to death.
The FBI now investigating the case as a possible murder.
At the time she fell, who else was out there? What did they see? What had they witnessed previously, hours or days before, aboard this ship?
The ship sailing between the islands of Curacao and Aruba at the time. This weekend, docking in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Princess Cruises saying in a statement, "We are deeply saddened by this incident and offer our sincere condolences to the family and those affected." The FBI is working with Aruba's public prosecutor, who says they're looking at every angle. While a forensic investigation and an autopsy have been conducted, authorities are only saying that the woman died of unnatural causes. The victim reportedly traveling with her husband, who officials say is not a suspect.
Not a suspect.
Wow. Not a suspect. He apparently stayed on the island voluntarily, but not a suspect.
A lot of questions.
Mystery.
Yeah. Ariel, thank you. Another story we're following here in Southeastern Asia, some frightening moments while a hot air balloon carrying fireworks exploded during a festival in Myanmar. The video showing the balloon slowly going up while the fireworks shoot out its side. Then the whole balloon explodes into a ball of fire, then comes crashing down. At least 9 people were injured. But looking at the video, I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Not the best combination.
Yeah,
hot air
balloons, fireworks, but
yeah.
apparently they do it all the time. So, but this one had a pretty bad conclusion. Could have been worse, though. Let's get a check of the forecast. Rob Marciano following it all. Are we finally getting a break from some of the extremes we've had so far, Rob?
Yeah, for a few days at least, and California at least will get a break from the dry weather in the Santa Anas. We're looking for a little bit of rain coming in, but we do have, at least for the moment, obviously the poor air quality. You heard that in Marcus's piece. In some of these towns this week, it's rivaled that of India as far as how bad it is for you. We have a red flag warning that's posted for the fire zone of Campfire and Paradise there. For low humidity today, 16 to 28%, gusts to 45 miles per hour. But we do see a change in the weather pattern that's going to bring in some rain as early as Wednesday. So a little bit of troughiness, a couple of systems in the Pacific lining up. The first one comes in Wednesday afternoon, mostly for Northern California. And the second one then comes in Thursday. This one may drift down to the south as well. And then there's actually a third one coming in after that. All total, 5 to 7 days worth of rainfall. Could see 3 or 4 or 5 inches of rain. And this is always a kind of catch-22, double-edged sword. You want some rain, you don't want it all at one time. In the burn areas, we could see some mudslides, so we're watching for that potential. That's checking the weather headlines nationally. Time now for your local forecast.
Hi, I'm ABC 7's Steve Rudin in for Alex Liggett. Beautiful sunrise over Bellhaven Country Club moving through the Sunday morning, but a definite chill in the air. Temperatures upper 20s and lower to middle 30s. Visibility is getting better, especially out to the west, with visibility now up to a mile or so. Clouds on satellite and radar, they're going to be with us, and they're going to increase throughout the day. Here's a look at your Redskins football forecast. We're calling for temperatures that'll be in the lower 50s with added clouds later this afternoon, but it will be dry.
Weather and sports together. Here you go. Check out this video out of Boulder, Colorado, where Utah was playing the Buffaloes, and it was snowing out. And Utah was taking it to them at some point. But even before that happened, the referee had to stop the game and say, hey, guys, in the stands, stop throwing snowballs on the field.
The fun police.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
Call the game. Oh, my
most
goodness.
of the players are wearing helmets, honestly, but the coaches and obviously the referees are in danger there. So Utah went on to win them handily, so I'm sure the fans weren't happy about that.
Those people are used to that kind of weather, though.
I think so.
True.
You would think.
My man, by the way, you are looking sharp.
I was just
with
gonna
the
say.
professorial
Well,
with
you were
the
teasing me
patches.
about my brown suit yesterday. I thought
Can you
I'd
show
one
us
up
the
it.
patch on the elbow? Come on, give us a look at that.
When you really work, when you're really thinking, you got to have those patches in there.
Dr. Autumn.
I love
Dr. Autumn today.
That sounds like a super
Professor Marciano. I put those patches on, but usually because the suit's old. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. We're now going to talk about the unforced error on the tennis court, but it wasn't from one of the players.
Tennis star Roger Federer going for a shot at his 100th career title, playing out a tiebreak with a young and talented opponent when someone dropped the ball. Adrian is here to explain. Oh, Adrian.
Yeah, everybody's reeling about this, especially Federer fans, right? Over that crazy on-the-court moment no one could have predicted. Roger Federer aiming for his 100th title. In the intense second-set tiebreak, suddenly his opponent, up-and-comer Alexander Zverev, stops play. The 21-year-old calls attention to a dropped ball, the ball boy scrambling onto the court. Zarev speaks to the umpire in front of the already disturbed crowd about the interruption.
Did you drop the ball? Yeah.
And points out the ball that rolled onto the court and a rule that says the point must be played.
Or he did it, we need to replay the point. It was something that happened on court.
It's